I never thought I'd be able to pay my debt until today. Sir, I am here to ask for the release of Abdul Rahman into my care.
I'm sorry, sir. Prince is not for sale.
I understand that the going rate is $550 or so.
Sir, you don't understand.
So you
Prince
cannot-
is not for sale. His wife is here. His children are here.
I beg you, sir.
I
will
cannot
offer
help you, Dr. Cox.
$1,000.
Prince is
sir.
not for sale at any price.
But, sir...
Good day to you, sir.
It did become the talk of the town, and I suppose in some sense that it made Foster feel like he was the man who controlled a prince.
I believe Thomas Foster rejected the offer because Abdul Rahman had simply made himself indispensable on the Foster farm. Despite the cheer of the family, the confidence Foster had in him, and the friendship of Dr. Cox, he paid a very, very hard price for his accommodations.
Foster prospered. His property expanded dramatically to 1,700 acres. 40 adult Africans now worked the plantation from sunup to sundown, making him richer with each season. Dr. Cox continued to seek Abdul Rahman's freedom, but Foster flatly refused. When Cox died in 1816, his son took up the cause, but Foster stood firm. For years after Cox's death, people talked about the unlikely meeting between the Irish doctor and the African prince. This notoriety opened doors to Abdul Rahman that were closed to most black men.
Alam Ayohalahu Al Habib Al Kari Al Habib.
Show me what you just read.
Alam Ayohalahu Al Habib.
And where did you learn to read Arabic?
I learned as a boy in Timbo and Timbuktu.
At home, we spent much of our time devoted to studying the rites of prayer and to the Quran. We learned geography, astronomy, calculations, and the languages of the nations we traded with. It was the first of my country's writing that I had seen since I left home.
I know many languages.
I told Colonel Marshak that I wanted to write a letter home, and did he know how to send it?
Andrew Marshak had recently arrived from New York State. He brought Natchez its first printing press and became its first newspaper publisher. Marshak had a nose for a good story and began printing articles that sometimes embellished and stretched the facts to call national attention to Abdul Rahman's plight.
He was a colorful personality, perhaps not an intellectual, but he was a friendly, open, genuine person, and usually spoke first and thought later.
Prince is really a most extraordinary man. Born to a kingdom, well educated, he was faithful, honest, humble, and industrious. I do not look upon Prince or Abdul Rahman as a mere biped slave, but as a dignified captive, a man born to command, unjustly deprived of his liberty.
6 years passed and Abdul Rahman never wrote to his family in Fort Jalon. A shameful scandal on the plantation would finally motivate him.
Thomas Foster Jr., we command and strictly enjoin you to answer to a bill proffered against you for keeping the basest company of habits and temperance.
Thomas Foster had a son, Thomas Foster Jr. He married well, the daughter of a local minister, but soon grew cold and indifferent to her, and she discovered why. Going around the quarters, she caught her husband, Thomas Foster Jr., in bed with a slave woman named Susie. Remarkably enough, it seems that this woman was the daughter of Abdul Rahman.
He began to see the future, and the future was what was going to happen when Thomas Foster died, and his children were going to be divided among Foster's children. And all that he had worked for in terms of stability and position for his family within that limited society was all going to be torn apart.
Maybe writing a letter home doesn't solve that problem immediately, but it was a protest, the strongest he could take, perhaps, against the situation on the plantation.
Natchez, Mississippi. The enclosed letter in Arabic was written in my presence by a venerable old slave named Prince. The object of his letter is to make inquiry after his relations with the hope of joining them. I have undertaken to forward his letter for him and commit it to your care with a request that you will lend your aid to an old man's wishes. I am, sir, your servant, Andrew Marshak.
January 12, 1828, Washington, D.C. Sir, your letters have been received. The President is obliged by your attention to the subject of the Moorish slave now in the possession of Mr. Foster, the object of the President being to restore Prince, the slave, to his family and country, for the purpose of making favorable impressions in behalf of the United States. Henry Clay, Secretary of State.